some of you guys online and having to see you guys for the first time in person, like either last year, sometimes this year. So it was a kind of a surreal experience, and you guys have been through a lot. So you should really celebrate that and really think back and reflect on your resiliency, which is a key component of social work, and how you were able to kind of get through these particular trying times that we've had in the last few years. So that's something that you guys should really be proud of as you move forward and matriculate wherever you go in your careers. All right, so I'm not gonna sit here. You guys know I don't like talking a lot, and you guys be like have me in class. I don't like talking a lot. I just like to go ahead and getting it done so we can get our work done and get out of here. So that's me. You guys know that. All right, so. All right. I don't have any jokes, anything like that for that today because I have my new boss here, so I don't want to do anything to get put out. So I'll keep it PG. All right. So today, what I'm going to do is, first of all, as you guys look at the program, we're going to have some words from our dean, words from our associate dean. Someone's going to come up and tell you a little bit about our IPE event and what that's all about. And then I'll come back and talk to you a little bit about what to expect during your senior year and what those courses and capstone and different opportunities that you may have to participate in the social work community this year. And we'll go from there. And then from there, we're going to go through your registration and advisement, and your two advisors are going to come up and talk to you a little bit about that. And then from that, my portion of the program is actually concluded. So, without further ado, here's one of the things that I want you guys to do is to, when these next two people come up, give them a really big hand because that's your dean and associate. So. And it also makes me look good, It's all about, I'm always going to bring it back to me, so it makes me look good also. So, but I want you guys to, we have a new dean, we have a change in leadership, and a new person coming in, and he brings with him a lot of experience, and from my interactions with them, a really great and cool guy. So, so without further ado, we'll bring up Dr. Philip Hong. Following that, we'll bring up our associate dean, who is also a great and cool person also. So, Dr. June Che.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, welcome. Welcome back for many of you, and welcome if you're new. Just like me, I'm new to UGA and the state of Georgia. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Philip Hong. I'm the new dean of the School of Social Work, and I'd like to welcome you personally. And also, as you're committing to the field of social work as your professional career advancement and also your field of study, welcome to all of you for doing that, and congratulations. It is a very honorable profession, as I've been in this, I guess, in my academic career has been about 19, 20 years now, in the role of going from assistant professor to all the way to being here now, having been in St. Louis, Missouri, to Chicago, and now here in Georgia. And I know a lot of you are from Georgia, and some of you are from out of state. But as you're coming together here at UGA, we have a culture that is very specific and that is very special. That stand out amongst other best of the best schools of social work around the country. So I'd like to, as a proud new member of the UGA School of Social Work, first and foremost, I'd like to thank Dr. Banks and the field department for everyone who put together this wonderful event to welcome you. But also from the Dean's office, I'd like to welcome you and also saying that we are here to serve you and make sure that you have a wonderful experience in your senior year. And as you hopefully will return to do your MSW at UGA as well, to launch your career as social workers, serving the state of Georgia and the wider U.S. communities and also global communities. And that is what we're here for, to support you to be the best social workers you can be. Because one of the big the ethical priorities, principles that we hold true is social justice and human rights. And we have a big commitment to that, to do that. And especially in this very time of turbulence, a lot of chaos, and some uncertainties. We don't know, there are a lot of people arguing about many things in this country, and there are things that have been kind of buried and that are coming to the surface that we haven't attended to as good citizens of this country. But it's a good opportunity time too. As social workers, we have the charge and responsibilities to be the voice and also be the leaders in advancing social justice, advancing human rights, advancing social well-being for our communities, families, and many of the fabric that have held together our society in advancing our country to the next stage. So I'd like to say thank you to all of you for choosing social work as one of your majors, if it's the major. Congratulations to all of you. And it's just it's been an honorable profession for me, an academic discipline for me as well in my career, as having called myself a social worker and just doing the work that is necessary when things are overlooked or sometimes not put to the priorities that is really endearing to our families, our kids, our children, many of those who need our support to be there for. So standing up for those rights, standing up for those causes, and what you stand for is just so honorable, and I'd like to congratulate you. I really I'm really honored to serve you as the Dean of the School of Social Work. And so please see our doors always open for you. If anything, any concerns come up, our office and all the staff and all the leaders of the School of Social Work will be there for you. And of course, you'll find magnificent instructors, the professors you'll meet along the way in your journey. And please do see this as your home, always, permanently. Whether you come back for your MSW or not, as you launch into your career, this is your home as your home of starting your social work journey. So welcome again, congratulations, and I look forward to working with you. So,
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Let's do it again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Great. You guys are young, right? 21. I mean, we are older, but you're young, so you have a lot of energy. So I'm so excited to be here today to mark the beginning of your last year, right? You have less than 1 year now to be able to call a professional social worker. When I hear that, that really excites me because I really think that you guys are much smarter than I was. Because I didn't go back to school to get my MSW until I was 29. I was always passionate about women's issues, especially issues around violence against women, but I didn't know about social work. I really didn't know. I mean, I heard about it, but I really didn't know what social workers do. And so I really didn't explore social work as a field when I was going through my college year. So I got my, I studied sociology, which was great. It became a really good foundation. But I was really frustrated. Okay, so I learned the theory to explain society and family, whatever, but then what do we do with that, right? I think that you are here because you are action-oriented, right? You want to make changes. You want to make things better for individuals, families, and communities. That's why you're here. And that's what I found is that when I decided to go back to school for my MSW, I knew that, okay, I like sociology, but I want action-oriented profession. That I want to be doing some things to make changes in our society, and I found it. So you guys are much smarter to know at your age that's what you want in your life, which is so wonderful. So congratulations for finding your life mission, so to speak. It's not just career, it's a life mission to me. So really excited to have you, and in a year when you are walking across the stage in our graduation, we'll be so proud of you, to watching you to launch into your career of social work as a field. And also, one thing that I can tell you is that, you may go back to MSW program to get MSW degree. Probably that's a good idea because in social work, MSW degree is a terminal degree, so that will really give you much more opportunities in your career. However, even with BSW degree, what it will really do for you is that it will really open a lot of excellent doors for professional development, professional opportunities. And more than that, I really want you to think about what are you really passionate about. I know that you came here with those passions. That may change, and that's okay. When I came in, it was about violence against women. That's what I'm still doing. That's what I'm still researching. But I expanded my horizon to include substance use, right? And also HIV, cancer, all other areas, because what I realized is that so many issues are interconnected, right? When I saw survivors of domestic violence, I saw them struggle with mental health issues, right? I saw them also struggle with substance use occasionally. I saw them struggle with other issues that I never thought that, wow, that's what they're dealing with, right? So all those issues that you are learning in classes, they are all interconnected. So whether you like policy classes, research classes, or whatever classes that you have to take, always be open-minded because those classes are there for you to prepare you to be the best that you can be as social professionals. So I'm so excited again, and congratulations to be able to be here in this space with us. And we'll be here to support you and support your success in our program. So I know that we have wonderful BSW director and advisors and field advisors. You have all the support, but we also are here as instructors, right? You have a lot of wonderful part-time instructors, and many students say, oh, part-time instructors, they are not real faculty. Yes, they're real faculty, and they may actually bring more values and experiences than maybe full-time faculty because they are right now in the field working, right? So with all these opportunities, grab those opportunities, take advantage of them. I think that you will come out of this program at the end of this journey as a better person and better practitioner. So congratulations, and I'm really excited to see you go through this last stage of your career. Thank you.
We have the person here for, okay.
Alright, while Dr. Jones is pulling that up, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Sydney. I'm a current MSW student here at UGA, and I'm here on behalf of Dr. Rebecca Wells, who is both the MSW MPH dual degree coordinator and in charge of our Interprofessional Education Day. So as an MSW student, I was able to participate in the Interprofessional Education Day last year with medical students, pharmacy students, nursing students, and I was one of the few social work students there. Do you have those slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. No worries. We're going to just wait to pull up the slides. In the meantime, actually, I'll go ahead.
Sorry.
So when I say Interprofessional Education Day, what is it? I already kind of explained it, but it occurs when a bunch of students from different disciplines come together. What I think is really, really unique about this is, personally, I come from a background, I'm a registered dietitian. I was able to work in the field a little bit before I came back to social work, and something I was always frustrated with actually in the field was the lack of communication or getting to know the other professionals. So Interprofessional Education Day is a really, really good opportunity for you guys to introduce yourself as social workers and bringing your perspective to other fields, so to doctors, to pharmacists, to nurses, and really get to say like, oh, this is what a social worker does, this is what a social worker has as a perspective. So it's really taking everything you have from internship, experiences, field work, and everything, being able to apply that in a setting with other healthcare professionals or other professionals. Like we say in social work, or your professors may say, you really get the experience by doing it, and this is a really good opportunity to actually communicate with other professionals. So what you can expect from the event, this is basically what happened with mine as well. You'll get some educational materials beforehand that you'll get to review. So you want to look over those, see what's going on for the case study. Basically, there's going to be a keynote speaker who's going to describe to you what's going to happen throughout the event, about the event, about overdose prevention, and then you'll be in Zoom breakout rooms where you'll have an opportunity to work with the other professionals and come up with your case plan. So it's basically like you're acting as a treatment team together and talking about how you would go about helping this client. And kind of using your social perspective. So this will be a virtual event. It's on October 12th from 12:15 to 5 o'clock p.m. This is a field day for you guys, so I recommend reaching out to your field professors as soon as possible and asking them if you can come to the event. Well, is it required and an essential part of y'all's curriculum as BSW students? You do need field instructor permission beforehand, so definitely reach out to your field instructors as soon as possible. So like I said, it's going to be virtual. And by the end, you should be able to feel more comfortable just working with other professionals. And all this information is on the handout too, so that you guys can review it and have more information. So make sure you're also registered by August 30th through that link. And yeah, does anyone have any questions about my experience doing the IPE day or about IPE day? Great, awesome, thank you.
This is a really awesome experience. I was actually a facilitator last year. So I would highly encourage you to consider participating and engaging. Last year specifically, there was a lot of appreciation for social workers. It was very eye-opening for medical students, nursing students, and pharmaceutical students who had never worked with a social worker before on a case. And so we heard over and over again how amazed they were with the knowledge, the perspective that a social worker brings to various situations. So I would encourage you to attend, but again, as she said, and from the field education department, we ask you to please consult with your field instructor, your agency field instructor, before you engage in this event or participate, because they will have to sign off on this time on your timesheet. They will have to approve it on your timesheet, okay? All right,
Yeah. And just to add real quick to what you said, like I said, I was one of the few social work students there, and I found myself talking a lot. And a lot of students coming up to me afterwards and just saying they appreciated my perspective. I think sometimes it's intimidating, especially when you're in a hospital, when there's a doctor sitting in front of you for medical rounds or something like that. But this really allowed me to give my voice. And the one I attended was a global health one, and that's not my specialty in social work at all. I'm doing a clinical track. But I realized how I was able to really look at how interrelationally things didn't go well in our case or whatever, and bring a really cool perspective. And then also I want to add regarding field instructor, just emphasize reaching out to them early because they really appreciate that information. So, thank you. And if good.
Dr. Wells is going to email them as well. They will receive an email.
Yes, you should receive an email from Dr. Wells as well. But like I said, you can also email me. All right, thank you guys.
All right. For those of you who've been with me for the past, I guess, 2 years, have seen the gradual decline of my eyesight, so today I'm having to put on the glasses to see exactly what it is that I'm doing today. So started out strong, but now that we get to the end part, yeah, that's definitely fine. All right, so talk to you guys a little bit about BSW program requirements. If you got this far, you pretty much met majority of the requirements. Right now, what you guys are going to be taking, especially in your practice sequence, is your practice 2 and practice 3 classes. So that'll be your practice sequence, your last practice sequences that you have. Those particular courses will guide you through working with groups, families, and your practice 3 class will actually take you to working with organizations and communities. So, and that's all part of the generalist education piece, meaning that you get a wide array of skills and being able to work in different practice settings, whether that be micro, meso, macro settings. So that gives you this, that's the whole point of having a generalist perspective. So when you get out of here, you have your BSW degree, but you'll be a generalist social worker. It's not until you get to your MSW where you really get into specializing in a particular field of study. All right, so that's when that happens. So sorry about that. You good, man. All right, so that's what that's about. So, and I think if you guys had me before, you guys seen where usually the first part of every class I tell you a little bit about those little gray blocks that you see on your syllabus that has these different things called competencies and behaviors and those types of things. Well, as an accredited school of social work, I'll go through this field again, as an accredited school of social work, we have different things, there are different competencies, meaning different skills that every social worker should know that's kind of universally accepted. So if you transfer, like say for instance, if you got fed up with us at this particular point, you say, I'm leaving and I'm going to, I don't know, Alabama or something, right? And I want to go to the Alabama School of Social Work. What you learn here is applicable to what you will get at University of Alabama, any other accredited school of social work. So these are particular skills and things, skills that you will need to know, that any social worker would need to know to be a professional social worker. All right, so that's what those competencies and things are for. Which sounds boring right now, and it is kind of boring. I had to do the self-study, so yeah, it is kind of boring, but it is, but it is worth knowing, because you want to know that that who you are as a professional is consistent with the profession itself. All right, so BSW faculty. We have a couple of instructors here today. We have Professor Brianna Sterling.
Hi guys.
All right, and we have Dr. Sarah Skinner. Yeah. Anybody else I'm missing? Am I missing anybody? I got it? Okay, cool. All right. But we also have BSW faculty members that are not here that you guys will see. We have Dr. Mary Ager, who will be teaching you guys, who teaches, I think, the poverty class and the policy class. We have Dr. Jane McPherson, also here, not here, but who will also be a part of your matriculation, who's also over our global education piece also. So we have her here. We have Professor Jones, who's going to be your BSW field instructor, which is, she's great. She, handles any issue and problem, that kind of thing, but also a great resource to go to if you want to talk about, where you want to go to in the profession. She has a wealth of experience working with not only youth, but also adults, but specifically youth who've been charged with violent offenses. So one of the things that I would implore you to do is to get to know your professors on that level, on the things that they are have experience in, because you never know when that particular experience matches up with something that you want to do. And, you know, it could be a person who could be a possible mentor, a possible reference for a particular job, or, you know, possibly going on to graduate school. All right. Student involvement opportunities. We have a number of opportunities in which you can get involved in. So the first one is you guys becoming one person being elected as a representative for our BSW committee. And what we do in that committee is we discuss various types of curriculum changes. We discuss the overall program, what can we do to change the program, what's going right, what's going wrong, what needs to stay the same. And you guys, whoever's the representative, represents the voice of the students. And you know, through my years of doing it, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the students are not encumbered to, you know, are not prevented from saying, you know, what they feel or what are some of the concerns or those types of things. So we welcome that, and we welcome your particular feedback on that committee. So what we're going to do is, if you want to nominate or if you want to self-nominate, you can send those names to Ms. Turner, and she will put together a qualtrics from the names that have been nominated, and then you'll vote. And then once that vote happens, then you know, we'll have our representative. The representative, we have the meetings once a month. The meetings are at 11:45 a.m. Usually run about maybe an hour 15 minutes. So that's what it is, and it's a good learning experience for you also. Whoever gets elected, you can put that on your resume that you were part of the BSW committee. So that's something to be particularly would look good on the resume for you. Phi Alpha is, and I'm not sure who's over that right now. Okay, all right. So we're not sure exactly who's over there right now, but Phi Alpha is basically the Social Work Honor Society. We'll be trying to get more information on that. We used to have an induction ceremony for that, where you would get a pen and, you know, various other kinds of things to say that you've been a member of that you are a member of Phi Alpha Honor Society. So we'll get some more information out on that. BSW Club. All right, so I am the faculty advisor for the BSW Club, and last year we had a very robust BSW Club. Our BSW Club was very active. We did a lot of different things, from holding lunch and learns, different workshops, those kinds of things on how to prepare for grad school, those types of things. But I'm the advisor, but it's very much student-led, all right? So it's not like I come in and I lead the thing for you. No, you just come to me and you just say, hey, this is something that I'm thinking about doing, those kind of things. It's a very student-led organization. I'm not sure if the BSW Club, last year's BSW Club, if there are anybody in here was an officer, secretary, anything like that on the BSW Club, so we may have to do the same thing. We may have to solicit either volunteers or nominations for those who want to take on the role of either president, vice president, treasurer, those types of things for the BSW Club. And if you're interested in it, email me. If you're interested in being an officer, and then we'll get together and, you know, if there's more than one person per position, then we'll have to take a vote. But if not, then, you know, by default, you'll be the president, and by default, you'll have that, you know, that particular office. But all of you guys by default are members of the BSW Club, but what we need now is officers to be able to run it. So again, it's a very good thing to be a part of, so it's something to actually kind of think about. Dr. McPherson is not here, but we do have students who take international trips. One of the things, I think one of the big things during our policy thing is to go down to the Capitol each year for our policy class. And I'm pretty sure we'll be doing that this year also. But Dr. McPherson would be the person that you want to talk to about global social work students and international trips. All right, so that's the thing that if you really want to get involved with that, that would be the person you want to talk to. All right, talked about the BSW student representative election. We just talked about that. Let's jump into the capstone. I'm going to go briefly over that. You get a lot more information on it. So our capstone project, not to give you a long, drawn-out history of it, but basically, what this particular project is designed to do is to take all of the learning that you've had throughout your matriculation in the BSW program and bring it together in this one project, right? So, and this is where the competency stuff come in to play also, because you'll be addressing several competencies from in this particular project what you'll be doing. So, a couple of things with this. What we want to do is to see how everything, let you see how everything is all connected. Remember, if you guys had me, I talked about puzzle pieces, how all your classes are kind of connected in these puzzle pieces to create this big picture. So that's what we try to do with our capstone, is to bring those puzzle pieces together so you can see what the big picture is all about. That's what the capstone is basically in a nutshell what it's designed to do. So you guys will get together, you'll have a community project that you'll do, and you'll present it in the spring, sometime in April, right? So usually the first half of your capstone classes will talk about how to talk about social problems, how to come up with your ideas, go through the whole group process of, you know, going through and figuring out what it is that you want to do. And then from the second part of your second half, which is the second semester, is when we really start getting into the action and really going in the community, if you have to contact a community agency, those types of things. Now, here's the thing about the project. Usually in most group settings, you get a chance to pick who you want to be and, you know, who you want to partner up with, that particular thing. Well, this is different. You don't get a chance to, you don't get to do that. You don't get a chance to do that. You are randomly placed, right? Almost sounds like I'm talking like a reality show, you know, where they put the twist on them, that kind of thing. This is the twist. All right, so you guys are randomly placed. And the reason for that is this, and there's a very good reason for it. And the reason is that when you go and you work for an agency, you don't get to choose who you get to work with, right? So you may work with people who have various different personalities, those types of things. But the one thing is that you guys can coalesce around this particular project and get the work done, all right? So part of the experience is not just getting the project done, but part of the experience is the other part of it is to be able to work with people that maybe sometimes you don't have anything in common in, but you guys can kind of come together around the purpose of getting this particular project done. All right? So that's what we're trying to do. So to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit, to get you to kind of step out of your comfort zone some, and to get you prepared, because one of the things as educators is that we have to get you prepared for the real world. We have to get you prepared to be able to, you know, work in agencies or to do the work that needs to be done as social workers. And this is part of that particular learning experience for you guys. All right. All right. That's it for me. So come on up and do your registration and advising. All right.
Hello. I think everybody, we know most of each other. If we haven't met in person, we've been over Zoom, so it's nice to see faces. I I'm Trell Turner. I'm academic advisor for the BSW programs. Jessica Davis.
The new academic advisor.
She just joined us in the spring, so in a lot of ways we are interchangeable. If you were here and you need help, like right now, and one of us is not available, feel free to go to the other one. One thing I will say though, is if you come to one of us and give an answer that you do not like, please don't leave it to the other to try to get the answer you would like. That tends to lead to problems, but what we're going to talk about right now is capstone assignments. So later today or tomorrow, because we need to discuss with the faculty, you'll be receiving an email from me stating which CRN to register for your capstone group. So this is going to be SOWK 5850. And like I said, as soon as we get this information from the instructors, you probably already registered for a section. So if you get a different CRN, just hop into the next one. Like Dr. Banks says, it's all random. Literally, random list generator is how we do it. So nobody's really involved in who gets what. So that's how that will go. Field sections, and Ms. Jones is going to reiterate this as well. You are not placed into a field group by anyone. You go and you register. What you need to make sure that you've done is that you register for the same instructor for both 5835 and 5836. That is super important. Okay. Now, if you get out there and it says the class is full and you can't get in, send me a message because I may have to bump up the caps just so everyone can move from section to section. So that's the big important thing to do before the end of drop out. Make sure that you are in the same person section. You're not looking for me to tell you who to register for those two classes. They just need to match. Okay? Because if they don't match, this person's going to be responsible for one grade, then another person will be responsible for another grade, and they're not going to have the same information. Okay? Do y'all have any questions? Registration, advising, anything like that? We kind of do an open door policy, even though schools aren't really open, they either cracked or closed. I don't turn my lights on. The reason I say that is sometimes when you come by, you may think I'm not there, so I want to make sure that you know. The office is on the first floor, kind of dim. So if we don't look like we're there, just give it a shot, and we'll open the doors if we're available. Really quick today. Anything else?
And I'm also the advisor for the nonprofit management leadership. So if any of you are interested in double dogs, I guess you would be by now. But, or if you're interested, we also offer that Master Arts program. As you probably know.
Alright, so if we're good, short and sweet, we're going to turn it back over to the field. Let me go find Ms. Jones. And like I said, if you have any questions for those nominations, if you don't know my email address for the BSW rep, it's trelle@uga.edu. That's how you get the information to us. And another thing is, like with the BSW listservs and the BSW senior listservs, we try not to send out a lot of junk. So if we ever send something to the listserv, either me or Jessica, please just make sure you read it. Because we're not going to just send out random this and that. We're usually very straightforward with what we do. So, yeah, and unless y'all have any questions, we're good. All right, fabulous.
Okay, thank you all so much for your attentiveness during that portion of our presentation. We're going to take a quick break as we transition to the field education offices portion of this program. So we thank you so much for your patience as we transition. I do want to make a few quick notes though. If you have not signed in, please make sure you do so right now while we're on break. There are sign-in sheets right out here in the hallway. So please make sure you sign in. Also, I wanted to make mention, Trell mentioned, or Ms. Turner mentioned office hours, and I work virtually. I am here on some Fridays and some Mondays, but it's always best to reach me by email. Most of you who have emailed me before know that I'm pretty quick. Like you email me, I'm probably gonna get back to you about 30 minutes or an hour. But yeah, so I'm really quick about responding. Always checking my messages, and I try to be as attentive to you as possible as your BSW Field Education Coordinator. All right, so thank you again for your patience as we transition, and talk amongst yourselves. Yeah. And if you haven't signed in, please do that.
No.
Your orientation buddies who are sitting on either side, you have your turn. have someone that was sitting next to them that has a return? Okay, student, okay. Great, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next portion of our meeting. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I want to make sure we introduce our field education seminar instructors for this year. In addition to myself, and you can read all about me at the School of Social Work website and just talk to me and find out, like Dr. Bates was saying, if you want to find out more about me, but enough about me. And moving on to our field education seminar instructors for this fall and spring semester. Professor Crystal Hamilton, wave your hand, look to the audience. Wonderful. Professor Crystal Hamilton is a licensed clinical social worker with over 8 years of clinical and administrative experience in private practice, community services, behavioral health crises, and community service boards. Professor Hamilton is certified as a 200-hour registered yoga teacher in trauma-conscious yoga method and basic EMDR. In addition, she is working towards becoming a certified sex therapist. Her focus is typically on anxiety, depression, and trauma-informed care through a combination of traditional psychotherapy and somatic therapeutic techniques. Overall, she prefers to use techniques that assist in the exploration of intersectional identity that are inclusive to various race, sexuality, and spiritual orientations. Professor Hamilton graduated from the University of Georgia School of Social Work with her BSW in 2014, and then with her MSW and graduate certificate in nonprofit management in 2015. Aside from her volunteer work at the Athens Anti-Discrimination Movement, her hobbies include dancing, Dungeons and Dragons, and writing. Welcome, Professor Crystal Hamilton. All right, we also have Professor Brianna Sterling. Wave your hand, say hello, Professor Sterling. Professor Brianna Sterling is the owner and founder of Heartstone Therapeutic Healing, where she has operated as a trauma-informed, holistic licensed clinical social worker for over 8 years. A graduate of the University of Georgia School of Social Work, woo! She is well versed in complex trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, acute stress, anxiety, depression, grief, attachment styles, adverse childhood experiences, abuse and neglect, intimate partner violence, commercial sex exploitation, compassion fatigue, resiliency, advocacy, and evidence-based approaches to treatment. Phew. Before Professor Sterling started graduate school, she took a gap year, interesting, and traveled to Arizona, where she lived close to the Navajo Nation. She traveled and hiked in numerous national parks in between time while working as a guest assistant at a bougie resort, she said. Professor Sterling says that though it was a great opportunity to explore the out west, and she was able to meet a number of celebrities such as Katy Perry, Tom Hanks, Gwyneth Paltrow, and George Clooney, it was also an eye-opening experience. She says it taught her a lot about the harmful acts of cultural appropriation and benefiting from others' cultures for profit. Professor Sterling believes that one great thing about social work is once you're aware of social work values, you can't turn a blind eye and ignore them. Today, she enjoys going to canopy classes after work, gardening, watching her honeybees, and hanging out with her chickens and peacocks. Welcome, Professor Sterling. And last but certainly not least, Dr. Sarah Skinner. Dr. Sarah Skinner joined the U.S. Army straight out of high school. After graduating West Point, she spent 12 years as a military police officer. She was stationed all over the world, including 2 tours in Iraq. When she left the Army in 2007, Dr. Skinner wanted to keep helping veterans and the military community. She pursued a master's degree, then a PhD in social work, so she could better work with fellow veterans and help advocacy work with veterans organizations. Dr. Skinner now teaches at the University of Georgia, where she designs courses on military social work to help other clinicians work with veterans and military families. Specifically, her research interests include military social work, child maltreatment, interagency collaboration, which is very important, and the civil-military cultural divide. Dr. Skinner believes our students come with a passion for helping people and considers it a privilege to be a part of educating, inspiring, and motivating our students so that they are equipped to handle the challenges inherent in the field of social work. In her free time, Dr. Skinner enjoys quiet moments in nature, spending time with her family, gardening, feeding birds, visiting the many fantastic parks in Athens, and hiking regularly in the North Georgia mountains. Welcome, Dr. Skinner. As Ms. Turner said to you earlier, if you are registered for one of our classes, Social Work 5836, please make sure you're also registered for our 5835 course. You must have the same instructor for both classes in order for you to receive credit, okay? All right, thank you so much in advance for your cooperation. And now we will have our fearless Field Education Director, Dr. Zoe Johnson. Thank you.
I prefer to come out to Beyonce, but thank you. Thank you so much. I am delighted to have the opportunity to share a little bit of time with you all this morning. So first of all, good morning. Good morning. See, I knew that this was a good group. I didn't even have to like coach you all that I'm from a call and response tradition. So when I said good morning, I didn't hear good morning. You all already knew. You all are set for success. I can tell from your smiling faces and your shining eyes. So I am Dr. Zoe Johnson. I have the wonderful opportunity of serving as the Director of Field Education, which gives me opportunity to work alongside all of our students that are pursuing a BSW and an MSW here in the school, and all of the different program options that there are to pursue one. So you all are our wonderful BSW group. We've got our MSW students that are full-time here in Athens. We've got our MSW students that are online. And we've got our MSW students that are situated out of Gwinnett. So I have the wonderful opportunity of working with everybody on the experiential learning domain of our curriculum. I am sandwiched right now in your BSW orientation agenda between the dynamic and wonderful folks that really do so much of the significant learning, are responsible for the significant learning that you will experience in field. Your field seminar instructors that have been so beautifully introduced and are so well equipped and come with such wonderful experiences that you will have the benefit of spending time with them and learning more about their practice as you are entering the world of your own practice. And then to follow, you're going to hear from some of our wonderful field instructors. And I can't ever stand in a room and not shout out field instructors. Anybody that's ever seen me talk anywhere about social work, like I shout out field instructors because they are the ones that invest so meaningfully, so significantly in nurturing and guiding and helping you to build your confidence. And that is a volunteer role. They raise their hand to say, I care this much about social work education, about the future of our profession, that I'm willing to make this investment of time. And so, shout out, field instructors. We appreciate the work that you do, not only in the context of your agency and our community at large, but also in support of our dear learners. So, with that said, let's talk a little bit. I'm just going to share a few nuggets and a little bit of just kind of orienting information as you begin to wrap your mind and your heart around this thing called field and what you're getting ready to do this academic year. Okay, so there are a lot of ways that we talk about field education in the landscape of social work education at large. There's lots of analogies and different things that people use to describe it. One of my favorite of those is talking about it as the heart of social work education. And I love that because it is so completely apt for a couple of reasons. Number one, when we think about the heart, what is the purpose of the heart? It's a muscle, right? And muscles get better with practice. You are going out to practice. You will get better, you will get more comfortable, your skills will develop and refine and strengthen with practice. And so, really apt in that way. Another reason I love this analogy when we think about field is because when you think about how the heart functions, you've got blood coming in that is coming from all the extremities of the body and is needing nourishment, right? And so it's coming into the central, to the core, in the same way that you will come in and we will gather in the context of the classroom space. You will be nourished by the lectures that you receive, by the richness of the discourse that you're having with your peers and with your renowned faculty members. You will wrestle with ideas, concepts, theories, all of that. All of that is part of the nourishment when you come into the classroom space. And then we're going to send you out to the extremities. In the same way the heart is going to pump blood to your toes, to your fingers, and all about, we're going to send you out into the world to be able to explore, to practice what you have learned in the classroom context. And sometimes when you go out, you're going to be like, I got this. We talked about this in a robust way. I am ready. Let's go. Put me in, coach. Let's do it. And you're going to go in, and then something's going to happen. You're going to say, but wait, that's not how it happened in the book. What do I do now? And you'll come back to class, and you'll talk about it, and you'll take it apart, and you'll put it back together, and you'll go out again, even better equipped, right? Our role as social workers is to show up better today than we did yesterday, right? And so I want you to embrace that stance of learner, because that is where you are. We're not expecting, and your field instructors are not expecting for you to know everything that there is to know. But they are expecting you to be curious. They are expecting you to do your due diligence. They are expecting you to ask questions both in the classroom context as well as in the agency environment. Y'all with me? All right. Okay, so in your practicum, you will apply and test theory and knowledge in a natural social work setting. You will incorporate knowledge and skills necessary for understanding and utilizing social work ethics, values, goals in a day-to-day practice environment. You will be refining your professional awareness, your judgment, your discernment, your decision-making abilities. You will come to understand the interdependence and the wide range of social work roles and the ways that our unique contributions come to life in different types of agency settings. And you will do all of this as you engage with diverse groups, families, organizations, communities. Okay? Thank you. This is an experiential learning endeavor, which is part of what makes it unique, which is part of what makes it so exciting. Field is a core requirement for every accredited BSW program in our country. And so we sit together in this room all excited and ready to kind of send you all out on your way in your senior year in fine fashion and with great success to come. But know that you sit alongside kind of people all over the country that are BSW students just like yourself that are preparing to go into field as well. And so every single institution that has an accredited program is doing the same thing, is preparing to do the same work. I don't know what the non-accredited people are doing. I don't really care because when you leave here, your degree is going to matter. People are going to look and say, okay, they got what we know they needed to get in order to be competent, in order to do this work. So this is an apprenticeship experience where learners are given the opportunity to learn while doing. So key roles. You all have an entourage. Did you get up this morning feeling like you had an entourage? No? No? I was the only one? Okay. No, you have an entourage. There are a crew of folks, many of whom you've already met today, that their express role, function, and purpose is to support you in your learning. Right? And so some of those folks, you know, your wonderful BSW field coordinator, Miss Yvonne Jones, she knew y'all by name before she knew you by face. Let me tell you. She pours over your resumes, your materials, and making the matches happen. And so always having your best interest and your learning needs at heart. You will meet your field instructors. And so, you know, you have probably talked to them, emailed them, you've done interviews with them. You will continue to expand your relationship and your connection with your dear field instructors. And we are so thrilled to be hosting many of them today. So that's a wonderful opportunity to keep the momentum going in that professional relationship. Some of you, in the context of your agency, will have a task supervisor. Not all of you, but some of you. And that is a designated role that may be the person that is giving you tasks and assignments or activities to do that you work most directly and closely with, in addition to kind of having connections with the field instructor. So just know that depending on kind of how your agency is structured and how their work unfolds, in some context there is a task supervisor that is also present and part of that system of support. You have your faculty liaison. You've met your seminar instructors. They are your faculty liaison. And so once you are active in field, they become your first point of contact. If there are questions, if there are issues, or if there are conversations that need to be had, they are there to stand in support of you. And then you are the star of the endeavor. All of this really kind of circulates around you. And so as the star of the endeavor, you are responsible for demonstrating the required competencies, for upholding the NASW Code of Ethics, and for exacting the tasks and the activities and responsibilities of a learning plan. One of the things that makes field so different is that it is an active learning endeavor. This isn't a situation where you just kind of sit there and like by osmosis, you come into competence. It doesn't work that way. You are actively responsible for your own learning. And like I said, you've got an entourage of support. You've got folks that you go hard, we going harder. Like that's just how it unfolds, right? Like you will get out of this what you put into this. And I cannot impress upon that enough. And I can look at your faces and I know that you all are ready to invest. And so that is fantastic. Your field manual, I want to just kind of nod you all to your field manual. There's a BSW field manual that is available to you. It is the official repository of all of the procedures, policies, everything that governs field education. I encourage you to bookmark that document so that it is available for you for a resource. Because if you have a burning question and you say, okay, I need to ask this. If you call Miss Yvonne Jones at 2:53 a.m., spoiler alert, she will not answer the phone. My hope for Miss Jones is that at that point she is in REM sleep and things are, you know, she's dreaming about lovely things. But answering your burning question at 2:53 is not going to be the business. That's not what's going to happen. Boundaries, right? And so, what you can do though at 2:53 a.m. is consult your trusty field manual. You can do a Control F search function, search by keyword, find whatever it is you need to find, answer that question, and then if you have follow-ups or need clarity, then during normal business hours, connect with us. We got you. Okay? All right. So we want you to plan for your field education success. I love starting with the end in mind. So I know we're sitting here and classes haven't even started yet, and you are probably anxious yet eager, and all of those things as you are about to embark upon your senior year. But I'm actually looking at you and I'm seeing a group of folks that are going to be in cap and gown. I'm like hearing a mama scream in the distance. That's not happening, right? Because I'm gonna be that mama. I've just embraced it. And so we are starting with the end in mind. And so I am already envisioning your success. I want you to begin to envision your success and embrace that and embrace the key elements and pieces that will be essential for you to experience and then live into the manifestation of that. And so the first of those is assuming a nimble stance. Y'all, we do not know how the world is going to unfold. We don't know what's going to happen. Every one of us in this room lived through 2020. And we went on spring break and didn't come back to school, right? And so we don't know what's going to happen. But what we do know is that social workers are problem solvers. When folks in the context of agency don't know, what do we do with this? They go to the social worker. Can I get an amen? Yeah. They go to the social worker. We are professional problem solvers. We figure it out. And being nimble and staying nimble is part of what allows us to do that. And so as much as we can't predict kind of what will happen or how things will unfold, one of the things I can tell you about 2020 is not one of our students was derailed from graduation because we had to figure some different things out. That's what I can tell you. Those are facts, right? We will figure it out. So stay nimble, stay open, stay kind of grounded. We want to be responsive, not reactive, right? So if you need to take some breaths, you need to go walk outside. We're going to be responsive, not reactive. Stay engaged. Ask questions. Again, you are active in this process. I want to point a little bit, because this is just a reality of kind of navigating school, that there are some practicum related expenses that typically are the responsibility of the student. And so as you're kind of thinking through those things, I want to point to your professional liability insurance, which many of you have already sent us your confirmation of that, and we have it on file. We need to have that, so if you've not yet taken care of that piece, you cannot be in field without having your professional liability insurance coverage. So, so we want to take care of that if you have not already. Onboarding expenses, social workers occupy positions of trust. So, and many of the agencies that you are in, they will require a background check, or they may require a drug screen. Those things are the responsibility of the student to satisfy as well. And then of course commute mileage. You know, you are going to be going to and fro. We know what gas prices are doing right now. That is a real thing that is having universal impact, and so just kind of being thoughtful in your planning for that. There's a piece that's not on here that you all aren't subject to, but is an opportunity space, and so I want to name it because it was showing up on the bookstore. If you pulled on the bookstore, like your required materials, it was showing up, but it's actually not required for you all, so I want to speak to that. It is the license for a new system that we are moving to. I'm sorry to say that you all don't get opportunity to be in the new system. I'm really sorry, because it's beginning to build your professional portfolio in some really exciting ways, but it's unfolding next year for our BSW students. But it was showing up as requirement, and I don't want anybody freaking out and saying, oh my gosh, I've never heard this, what is it? So I'm just going to speak to that you don't have to get it. It's an opportunity space, so if you want to get it, I think that's fantastic, because again, particularly if you're going to go on to do your MSW, whether here or other institutions, it serves some really useful functions in building your professional portfolio and having all of that centrally located, and you keep it forever. It's a license, so you own it, and it stays with you and travels with you wherever you may find yourself. So it's showing up, but it's not required for you. So I just want to kind of, that's a little aside, okay? All right, resources. So, you know, I talk about money, but then I also want to talk about resources as well, because if you should find yourself in financial hardship, our institution has a network of resources and supports that to help students kind of navigate those. So the University of Georgia is deeply committed to your success and has several resources to help you overcome financial hurdles should those be part of your experience. So even if you're sitting pretty now and you're like, no, I'm good, I'm good, please make a note of this, because again, should your picture change and you need support, I want you all to know kind of where you can go to kind of access that and begin to see kind of the array of things that are available. So, so I referenced that financialhardship.uga.edu as a wonderful resource. All right, professionalism. We are, as a School of Social Work, a professional preparation program. And so your professional preparation is underway at this very moment. As you go out into the world, you are representing not only yourself, you are also representing the University of Georgia, you're representing the School of Social Work, and friends, you're representing our profession. There will be times and instances in the course of your fieldwork where you may be the very first professional social worker that a client has engaged with. Y'all, that means something. We stand before folks, we sit knee to knee with folks representing much more than just ourselves. And so we remind you, this is a reminder I know, we remind you to show respect for everybody that you engage with throughout this entire process. You know, I think about the folks in our agencies that are the folks that greet and welcome folks when they come in and are answering the phones and taking messages with such diligence. I think about our building services folks that have kept our spaces clean and safe for us to occupy over these last couple of years. You all, every single person that you engage with contributes meaningfully to this mosaic that makes it happen and is deserving of your respect. You know, practice within the code of ethics. When in doubt, seek supervision, you all. Like if you're not sure what to do in a situation and you feel like you're in a gray area, talk with your field instructor. Talk with your faculty liaison. You all have the support, and so utilize it in those ways. Talk with them before. Don't do the thing and then say, oh, I did the thing. Because then talk with them before if you are uncertain. All right. You are in a position of trust. I've mentioned this. Folks are watching and folks are looking. And so I encourage you to manage your social media in a way that is consistent with how you want to be represented in the professional sphere. You all, people look. People look, people call me and say, so what's up? It's a thing that happens. And you all have an advantage over most because you are digital natives and that you grew up kind of with all of this stuff. And so, manage your settings, manage what you're putting out into the world. When something is out into the world, it's there. Even in managing settings, y'all, it just takes but a screen grab. Y'all know, it only takes a screenshot. So I say this, I know that you all will be responsible in that way. And again, this is also about you representing yourself professionally and all the other constituencies professionally as well. Do not underestimate the power of your professional reputation. That's a real thing. Every single job that I have ever gotten was because of someone that I either worked with the person in some capacity, we did some project together, we were connected, we collaborated on something in some way. And if you would have asked me when those collaborations were happening, if I would go on and do XYZ other thing that unfolded, I would have never even seen it. And so, your name matters. The world is big, but the world is small. And so begin to operate and function in a way that you feel good about, that you feel proud about how you are existing in your professional sphere. And then reporting in critical incidents. We care about you all, we care about your well-being. And so if there are things that are happening that are that are critical incidents that we need to know about, we need you to share that information with your field instructors, we need you to share that information with your faculty liaisons. We have reporting obligations and responsibilities in certain domains. And so if there are things that are harassment or discrimination or things like that, we've got to, with fidelity, kind of adhere to not only taking care of you and making sure that you're having good learning experiences and safe learning experiences, but we've also got kind of commitments and obligations institutionally as well. And we want to make sure that we can do all of that with fidelity. And then finally, just be ready. Ready, set, grow. This is a learning experience. Everybody y'all looking kind of tense. Y'all all right? My goal was that the information would help you be okay, I got this. Field education is designed to challenge you, but you also have, again, a network of support, right? You will make mistakes. Some of my best learning experiences, I remember some of the mistakes that I made in field. And though, the supervision, the conversations that we had kind of around those were so richly and deeply meaningful. There are turns of phrases that I still say to this day that I modeled after my field instructor, y'all. And so, just be ready to take it in, just embrace that you've got kind of a safety net. And so if you make a mistake, there's supports and there, this is an educational process, and so the conversations are very framed in educational ways. That said, you will receive critical feedback. And so if that's something that makes you uncomfortable, begin to be comfortable with the discomfort. You will get critical feedback around how you can grow, stretch, learn, do the thing better the next time than you did the previous time. Okay, that's the point. We would be pretty derelict and just bad educators if we saw our learners out there doing things poorly and never said anything. That's not how any of this goes. I feel like that commercial. That's not how any of this goes. It's not. And then take care of yourself, right? And so, those things that you have come to do, that are self-care activities, are leisure activities, are things that help maintain your well-being, now is not the time to abandon those. It's not. So those same things, like if you're a dancer, go dance. If you're a runner, go run. You know, if you gotta have your smoothie in the morning, please get up and make your smoothie in the morning. Y'all with me? These things they matter, they are important. And then just kind of know that we are committed to you all, right? We are committed to your growth, your learning, your development. And I always think about commitment in August because my wedding anniversary month is August. Last week, everybody want to cheer for love? So last week, my spouse and I celebrated 13 years. And so I think about commitments in August because on a hot day in August 13 years ago, we stood before family and friends and made a series of commitments. We were rude though, because it was really hot. It was like really hot, like it was disrespectful to have people come in nice clothes and that kind of heat, but we did it. And so on this hot day in August, I stand before you, and as your field director, we make some commitments to you, and those include that our work together will prioritize your learning, your growth, and your development. We will challenge you, and we will hold you accountable. And we will also support you in your experiential learning. Okay? All right. That's my time. That's more than my time. I'm sorry for going over. I'm really excited for you all. You all belong here. You deserve to be here. You have worked hard to be in your senior year. And this is our victory lap. And so we're thrilled to be in it with you. Okay? All right. Good stuff.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate a couple things that she mentioned. Okay, the BSW Field Manual has been revised and updated. So if you go to our website now, the updated version may not be there. So make sure that when you view the BSW Field Manual, it says August 2022, revised August 2022, okay? Second thing is I want to reiterate, field instructors, faculty liaisons, raise your hand. Those are your instructors for Social Work 5836. Again, first point of contact if there's challenges in the field. You want to encourage you to first talk to your field instructor to try to work through things. But if you're having challenges on knowing how to communicate professionally, or if you have any concerns at all about your practicum experience, your faculty liaison, your instructor, us four are the first point of contact. Of course, I also serve as your field education coordinator, but if you're not in my Social Work 5836 class, please consult your faculty liaison first before you come to me, because I will reroute you to your faculty liaison. Okay, that is the process and procedure for concerns. Okay, I'm definitely available to assist, but I want to respect your role as your faculty liaison. I also want to respect the role of the field instructors and their role in your preparation as a professional social worker. Okay. I think that's all I have to say about that. All right, so we are moving now to our wonderful and exciting panel on success in your internship. And I'm going to need to bring on one more field instructor. And so just talk amongst yourselves while we transition to this other piece of our program, okay?
It's under there. It's like in the basement of that building. I was at Pathways Transition Program. Yeah.
All right. So I hope that you have brought your questions with you and you're prepared to ask. If you're not, then I have some questions that I have. Okay. But does anyone from our audience, our wonderful students, do you want to start off? Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Let me introduce our panel. I apologize, guys. So first, we have Miss Deanna Fort from Child's Voice Children's Advocacy Center. Then we have Mary Haddon from Project Safe. We have Olivia Amato from Athens Area Homeless Shelter. And Ms. Shonda Santana from Divas Who Win Freedom Center. And we have Sally Kimmel-Shepard from Envision Athens, former director of The Cottage. Let me make sure I mention that. And then finally, last but not least, we have Allison Warren of Advantage Behavioral Health Systems. I know some of you, quite a few, you have internship or practicum with her. So please, does anyone want to start us off with the first question? Anybody? Okay, well, I'll help. So, panel of field instructors. The first question I have is, what do you consider a goodness of fit? What are the characteristics that a student should bring with them in terms of your expectations of a goodness of fit for your agency, considering your agency, right? We have a Child Advocacy Center, Project Safe, Athens Area Homeless Shelter, Divas Who Win Freedom Center, Envision Athens, and then Advanced Behavioral Health System. So guys, these are very different agencies with different settings, and so I want you to listen to their responses. Any one of you can respond. Goodness of fit.
Envision Athens is an agency that's under transition, and so we're developing our strategic plan. So some of you all might walk into an agency that doesn't have a mission set in stone. They're trying to figure it out. So goodness of fit for an intern coming to me would be someone who's incredibly flexible and able to think outside of the box and able to brainstorm with me. And though there is a job description for the intern that's coming to Envision, know that that job description also highlights the ability to be flexible and take it as it comes and think outside of the box with me as this agency figures out what its strategic plan is. So some of y'all might walk into something that's not exactly nailed down in stone, but that is also the life of working in a nonprofit as well.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, anyone else? Goodness of fit for your organization?
I was going to say flexibility as well. At Advantage, we serve 10 counties. We work with mental health, substance abuse, and intellectual developmental disabilities. So we do all kinds of things. We do all the things. In a large area with a large population, most who have experienced a lot of things in their life, and this is where they can come and get those services. So we are the local community service board. Flexibility is really important. Working alongside your task supervisor is going to be important because it's such a big place that I can't do everything. So I'm not Superwoman, but I will be there for you guys as best we can. We'll meet at least once a week. But yeah, that's just flexibility and willingness to speak up. I think is really important too. Don't be shy about that because I want to listen and I want to make sure that everyone is comfortable there because it can be kind of intimidating to come to somewhere that's so busy and so big and in all kinds of different settings. So being willing to come when you need something is really important too.
By the way, community service boards are located all over the state of Georgia and are one of the largest employers of social workers because community service boards provide services to clients who have insurance or without insurance. They also they have or provide services in substance abuse treatment or addictive diseases, developmental disabilities, correct, and mental health. So they serve a large variety of services. Okay, and of course we the nonprofit. So Ms. Kimball Shepard was speaking from a nonprofit perspective, and she's community service board. So I want to make sure you guys have an understanding of the difference. Anyone else want to talk about goodness of fit? Project Safe.
I would just say willingness to try and to put yourself out there. We can't prepare you for every situation. We can't give you scripts for here's what you say when somebody asks for this. There's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of you just gotta try. You gotta take what you learned in the classroom, take what you learned from your field instructors, your liaisons, from this, this is all culminating to this experience. And so you gotta be willing to step out there and try. And like Dr. Johnson said, you're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna happen. Just know, that's part of the process, and we're here to support you and guide you through that.
So we're getting flexibility, courage, just get out there and try. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I would like to say, I think managing your self-care is important. Measuring your own trauma inputs that you bring
Yes.
to this position with Divas, because we do work with survivors of human trafficking and those who are overcoming their substance use disorder. So that's the direct services, but one of the major initiatives that we have right now is an immersion experience through a survivor story of trafficking. And so being agile and equitable in this whole process is going to be super important. But I think first, as you're brushing your teeth that morning, you're looking in the mirror, see where you are with your, I mean, a lot of times personal history drives you into this type of work, and so we're very aware of that. But when you show up for work, being ready to share where you are, and if there's something you need to step back from that day, that's fine, but we need to have that conversation. But we can't measure your trauma inputs and history for you.
I like to say that a lot of times in this work, your clients are going to have histories of trauma. It is, you know, that is quite common. And so in all the agencies that you're working in, that may be, there may be various traumatic experiences that you learn of about your clients. Of course, those are kept confidential. But so in all these agencies, there are encounters with clients who have traumatic histories and experiences, but specifically A Child's Voice, Divas Who Win Freedom, and Project Safe, where there interpersonal domestic violence, interpersonal relationship violence, and Project Safe. So there are certain agencies where that is the work they do. You go in knowing that the clients you're working with have traumatic histories. And so again, as Ms. Santana was saying, Shauna Santana was saying, be aware of yourself, self-awareness, and be okay with talking that out with your field instructor or your faculty liaison. Right? That's what we're here for. You have an entourage to support you. And that's what they do each week and during supervision, is they're there to help talk you through those sort of situations.
Caveat, in their professional role with you.
Yeah. Right.
So if you need to seek clinical care,
That's a different story.
that is a different thing.
Yes.
That's not what they're doing.
No.
And so take care of yourselves in that way. And
Right.
if lines begin to blur, they'll give you feedback. Your folks will give you feedback. So just know that that is a very specific role. They are not in a clinical capacity with you. And so as caring as they are, as much as they want you to be kind of aware, like how are you situated? Do I need to kind of ease back from this task today and I can pick that up next week? Like those are the types of conversations. But if you're looking to do an unpacking, then that unpacking happens elsewhere. We're happy to share resources because there are institutional supports all over. But I want to very clearly make that distinction.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Okay, anyone else want to speak on goodness of faith?
Yeah. So very similar to what everyone said, flexibility and willingness to learn, and recognizing that you also bring a lot of value into our agencies. So our agency is small. We work directly and actually work on site where families are living. And so you're constantly engaging with the families that we are walking alongside with. And you bring value into the internship. And so with the confidence and the flexibility, also really clear communication. So we're not going to know your schedule changes, and we're not going to know when a class has changed or something along those lines. So some of our most successful interns have been really great at keeping us updated on those things, really great at reaching out to staff members that are not their task supervisors and saying, I also want to learn from you, or I see on the calendar that you're maybe doing a home visit. Our agency is small but broad, and so we actually interact in a lot of different ways with families experiencing homelessness. And so you get the opportunity to say, okay, I heard in a staff meeting someone mention this meeting with a board or a director. You can say, I'd like to sit in on that. I'd like to listen and learn. And then among your cohort of interns, if you have a cohort, or among your class, you can problem solve and talk through those connections that you're seeing and that you're making, and then also bring that into your supervision with your field supervisor. That communication piece is really, really a big a big asset.
Excellent. Thank you so much for saying that. So in addition to what she was saying, you will work with your field instructors to develop your learning plan, correct? And in doing that, share the syllabus from your class with your field instructor. I've served as a field instructor before, and I just outright said, I need to see the syllabus. My school, let me see it. You know, but your field instructor may not ask, right? So just offer it to them because it's got the course schedule on there. When your assignments are due, so they can kind of know what's going on with you from the class perspective as well, okay? Great, so first day expectations, field instructors. Oh, before I go on, does anyone have any questions before I keep asking questions? Because this is really for you. Anybody? Yeah, hey.
Can they give a little word of what each organization?
Okay, sure. Okay, so each she was asking if each of you could give a short description of your agency's mission or impact. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I work for a Child's Voice Child Advocacy Center. We're actually located in Social Circle, Georgia, but we serve both Walton and Newton counties. So we are one of many child advocacy centers across the state and across the nation. We work with children and families when they're involved in investigations of child abuse. So that can be anything from sexual abuse, physical abuse, if a child has witnessed a violent crime, if they've been involved in domestic violence. We see those kids at our centers and we provide various services for them, including forensic interviews, which is where we kind of gather information from them about what they've witnessed or what has happened. And then we also connect them with resources like counseling and anything else that might benefit them as they're working through what they're going through. And we do a lot of follow-up and support for the family as well. So we work with law enforcement and DFACS very closely.
So at Project Safe, we are a nonprofit. We're a domestic violence agency. We support any survivor who's experienced domestic violence, intimate partner violence in a lot of different ways. We have an emergency hotline. We have an emergency shelter. We also have an outreach office where we provide more like case management, also legal advocacy, so we help file protective orders. If you think of like a restraining order, it's the protective orders are specific to domestic violence. We help walk through those processes and have support groups, and that's kind of us in a nutshell.
Right. Yeah, so I'm Olivia. I work at Athens Area Homeless Shelter. We are shelter and housing support for families experiencing homelessness. And so we do that through 3 main programs as well as a support program. So we have 2 shelter sites. Emergency shelter is about 60 to 90 days of shelter support, which includes child care, it includes food assistance, it includes meals provided, as well as a comprehensive and trauma-informed space for families to begin healing from the trauma of experiencing homelessness, as well as planning for the future. We also provide rental assistance through a program called Going Home. And so when families are moving out of emergency shelter, not just with our emergency shelter, but also with other emergency shelters in the community, they qualify to move into our rental assistance program. We work with local landlords to pay for a year of rental assistance, so families have that time to continue to save up and stabilize. A lot of times families experiencing homelessness don't have the resource of time, and so that's something we work really hard in our programs to be aware of. We also have something called Bridge to Home, which is transitional housing. If you work for a housing or shelter organization, you're going to hear so many acronyms and so many, a lot of different definitions. That's another thing. Be okay to ask, what's that acronym? Do you have a list of acronyms? Things like that. Bridge to Home is for parents that are getting an education, certificate, degree, something to increase their income so that they can have a higher likelihood of long-term stability. And then we have a family enrichment program, and so that's for both of our site-based locations to provide support for extracurriculars, to provide a 2-generation approach of support for parents and kids at the same time. So that's our program.
I'm Shonda Santana. I'm the founder and director of Divas Who Win, and
we would be considered in pre-K because we're 4 years old, so we are a young agency here in the community. On a national level, we're considered an RCO, acronyms, a recovery community organization, but we are the only gender-specific dual-missioned agency of that nature. Our mission at DIVAS is to create a safe space that destroys stigma and restores dignity to women or those who are female identifying, who are overcoming substance use disorders, sex work, navigating their way through that, or survivors of human trafficking. And what's unique about our agency is that everyone that works there, myself included, in direct services, has lived experience in one, two, or all three parts of the mission. We also have 2 social justice enterprises, which is where a lot of the capacity building will come from through BSW and MSW partnerships. Through education, we educate through a pre-loved women's boutique that's about 2 miles from our headquarters called the Freedom Boutique. And then now our advocacy efforts are elevating through a 28-minute immersion experience where you will walk through a survivor's story. That's called the Freedom Experience. And we serve about 125 to 150 women per month here in Georgia, in Athens, in your community, who 90% have a substance use disorder and about 25% have identified some relationship with the other 2 parts of our mission. Well, if you're in pre-K, I'm a newborn. So I'm the executive director of Envision Athens. Envision Athens was created in 2017, 2018 by our city manager and our mayor commission as an agency that should bring folks together to make sure that there's a prosperous Athens. And they broke this down into 14 work topics that the previous project manager had to work through to make sure that there's a prosperous Athens. Anything you're thinking of, those were in those work topics. That person then left the agency in the fall. They decided to become a 501c3. The board then, well, the IOC, which I can't even remember what that stands for because I wasn't there then, was created as a board of directors. And so then they hired me in April, and I left the Cottage Sexual Assault Center and Children's Advocacy Center, where I was the executive director for 15 years, to come take on this job. So I do know direct service now. I'm very macro, I'm very big picture thinking. We're currently trying to figure out our strategic plan for the next 2 years. In doing so, we're looking at surveys done by the Athens Wellbeing Project. We're also going to combine that with focused groups and then with a community-wide listening session. All this is happening in the fall for us to land on a strategic plan for the next 2 years. And so Envision is just like incredibly macro. I'm really enjoying it. I do miss direct service in a way. Like, I'm like, what are we doing? But we're going to fine-tune that and figure all that out. So it's really pulling on those creative skills that I had the opportunity to use before, but now even more so. So that's where Envision is at.
Social workers are definitely creative.
We're all over the place.
So I'm the Director of Clinical Training and Youth Specialty Services at Advantage Behavioral Health. I've been in our role about a year. And previous to that, I was the team lead for the Early Psychosis Intervention Collaborative. Most of my clinical work has been in psychosis. Work with young people, emerging adults is what we call them. We are a community service board. Like she said, that means that the state, Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, contracts us to provide services to people who are uninsured or have mostly Medicaid is what we serve. We don't take a lot of private insurance. And we have been created to provide services in a 10-county area of the community. Every county in Georgia has a community service board that serves. So we're in the kind of Northeast Georgia area. And the hub of our services is outpatient services for mental health and substance abuse. That is, we have 6 outpatient clinics. Those of you that came to New Employment Orientation already, some of you all recognize your faces. I don't have them memorized yet, but give me time. Learned a little bit about what we do, so I would be here all day if I talked about that, but we primarily, our focuses are outpatient services and mental health, and through that most people come in and then they get referred to all the other things that we do. We do have housing services. We have our Homeless Day Service Center there on North Avenue. Some of you may have seen that. And we also have some inpatient substance abuse services. We have a crisis stabilization unit. We have, and then we have our intellectual and developmental disability services. which is day program services as well as homes that we have where people live in those. That is not a lot of what I do. I'm more focused on the mental health side of things, but I can tell you a little bit about it. But that's kind of the hub of what we do. We've been around for a really long time. I don't remember exactly what year we started. I think it was in the 70s. So we have come about, we have grown a lot. We are currently going through a huge change where we are transferring electronic healthcare records as of 9/1. Some of you have already gotten emails from me about that. So we're going through a lot of changes right now. We are working towards becoming a federal community CCBHC, which is I don't remember what it stands for. I need to remember that because that word is always in my head. But Certified Community Behavioral Health Center, that's what it stands for. So we'll start getting some federal dollars for that, so we get funded all over the place. But we do lots and lots of things. This is a very micro experience if you're doing an internship most of the time. My work is more macro now. I occasionally do, crisis assessments and things like that. But if you're doing an internship, whether you're a BSW or MSW, it's probably going to be more clinical or, micro for you guys, where you're working directly with clients.
Excellent. So that leads into a perfect next question that I have. Anyone else have a question before I pose the question? Yes?
Could you tell me just a little bit about the crisis stabilization unit, what they do?
Yes. So we call it the Behavioral Health Crisis Center overall. There's two parts to that. There's our a crisis walk-in center, which is where anybody who's an adult can come and have an assessment done, like if they're either in crisis for mental health or substance abuse, they need detox, something like that. Regardless of insurance, regardless of anything, you can sort of look at it as sort of an ER diversion kind of program. And some people, depending on if they need to stay or not, will go into our crisis stabilization unit. Most of the people that go there are uninsured. So most of the time if you have insurance, you'll be referred out to another hospital if you need to go there. And I also forgot, we have a temporary observation unit. It's been closed a lot because of COVID and staffing and all of that, but that's where you can go. Let's say you come into the walk-in and you can go to the temporary observation unit for 23 hours to see if maybe you're okay now and you can go back out into the community, or you need another stay, whether it be at a hospital, psychiatric hospital, or a detox center or something like that. It's typically a short acute stay, usually around 8 to 10 days or so.
Awesome. Okay, so we have 10 minutes left. Okay. Tell us what activities our students will be engaging in at your facility. Just as examples, again, I know you guys are assigned to various agencies, but these are examples of what you may be doing in your agency. Go ahead.
So at A Child's Voice, our interns typically serve as family advocates, which is essentially like a case management kind of role. So the family advocate is the first person that a family makes contact with when they are referred to our center. So you'll be orienting them to kind of the process, answering a lot of questions probably for them at the beginning and as things go on. You are there with them during their appointment when they come in for the forensic interview to kind of offer support, resources, assess needs with the family, assess any trauma concerns so that we can make appropriate referrals for the children and the families as well. Our interns also sometimes help with our medical. So we do actually provide medical services on site as well. And so sometimes our interns will be there for the child during their medical as kind of like a support person, because it can be a very scary experience for them. And then you'll do a lot of follow-up with the families just to continue to assess ongoing needs and things like that. You'll be involved in the multidisciplinary team meetings as well. So we have those monthly for each of the counties we serve. And so those meetings consist of law enforcement, DFACS, the DA's office, anyone who's involved in the investigation. So you'll be a part of that to be able to kind of advocate for your families as well about what their needs are and anything else that they may be experiencing or going through. You may have the opportunity to go to court as well and kind of observe how those procedures work. We try to give you the opportunity to be involved with the different parts of the center, so the different roles that are represented, but you primarily do the case management side of things.
Well, if you're placed at home safe, we've already talked about some of the things that you'll get to do. But we take on interns from a lot of different programs, and not just UGA. But for all of our interns, you spend a little bit of time at each of our different sites and within each of our different programs. So we do utilize more of you'll have a task supervisor, but meeting with me, and we talk about all the different experiences that you're getting to kind of see how our organization works together, how people move through going from the hotline to maybe the emergency shelter, or from the hotline to our outreach office, and so it's a set schedule. So every Monday at 10 a.m. this is where I am, but throughout the week you'll be at the different sites. Like I said, emergency shelter, outreach office. We also have a thrift store, and also on our team text line.
Team text line?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, at the shelter, it's we like to look at more of a mezzo opportunity. So you do have opportunities to, and we tend to help direct you based on what the intern says, what you're saying. I want to learn about this, I want to learn more about this. And so we do have, if you're wanting more of a case management experience, then we have a case management training we take you through. All interns help with phone intakes. We have a lot of people calling Seeking Shelter, really from all over the nation. So you get a lot of practice helping someone through a crisis situation. You also get the opportunity to go to community meetings. We meet weekly to coordinate with other shelter providers to make sure that we aren't duplicating services and that we're providing quality services to people that are seeking our support. And so you would attend that as well. You get the opportunity, if you're wanting more case management, you get the opportunity to work towards being the sole case manager for a parent in our programs. You get the opportunity to shadow home visits and things along those lines. If you are more on the macro side, you get more of the opportunity to see some of the fundraising sides of nonprofit, the community advocacy sides, the opportunity to share with volunteer groups that come. We consider that an opportunity for advocacy rather than just giving people to do things at the shelter. It's an opportunity to educate as well as engage people beyond that day. So if you have more, and BSWs generally have a desire to learn both, and so we work with you to give you that broad experience so that you feel like you've got a well-rounded understanding of where you might want to go. You engage with a lot of different services at the shelter because we kind of are at a heart of really a lot of family support services, almost everyone sitting here, so it's a broad opportunity.
So at Divas, most of your engagement will be on the social justice side, which is our thrift store, which is adjoined to the Freedom Experience. So we will rely on our BSW and MSW students to help folks check into the experience and be in the focus group area when the experience ends, which is where we debrief. Sometimes there's survivors going through that experience as well as agencies and just the community at large. But also with that, you'll get to experience sort of a phased program where at our headquarters, which is where most of the women come in and out, there are groups that you can attend if you would like the second part of your time with us as you explore the various. So there's lots of shadowing opportunities, but again, the advocacy, education, and then basic nonprofit work, volunteers, donors, events, that type of thing, just depending on your skill set, your area of passion, and where you match up in our kind of personality tests and whatnot, where we think you will thrive and have a great experience and also intersect with the need of the agency.
So since I'm a one-person show at the agency at this time, I don't feel the need to take on more than one intern. So I'm taking a master's, second-year master's student that will be starting this week with me. And then later down the line in October, I'm going to have 2 generalists, which means first year MSWs, start with me. So give me a second to kind of get my bearings and then go from there. I've had lots of interns in the past. I believe I don't want to take on more interns than I know I have things for them to do. And so this intern will be doing all sorts of things. And the only thing that I can add to or to really know about is to kind of piggyback on you just a second of people, you will come in probably with tasks that are expectations. But also we will see skills within you that we're like, oh, this person's really good at this one thing, or they're really shine at this other thing. And I always, that is where I let my interns go, because I want, like, there's the thing we have to do in life. And then there's the thing we really are good at, we want to do. So why not build upon that and build the agency upon that as well? So let your light shine. It might be in direct service, which is awesome, but it also might be a little bit in public relations or social media or other things that some of us, even like Google Docs, you know, like something that we're just not really aware of that you can like help make our lives a lot better and add to the agency as well.
It's a little bit difficult for me to summarize for mine, but every site is going to be different. But like I said, it's going to be very micro work, which would be working directly with clients and families, depending on where you're placed. That can look a lot like case management. It can look like family support and support services in general, a lot of interviewing and seeing what clients' needs are and what families' needs are. So it really just depends on what site you're at. A lot of times when I'm working with interns, like throughout the semester, people will come to me and say, you know, I'm really interested in learning more about this. So I like for everybody to have a really immersive experience, which is to say, you know, I'm placed here and this is very micro, but I want to learn more about here. So, you know, you can shadow in various different places and learn more about everything that we do.
Excellent. So we're getting ready to wrap up, you guys, but I just want to, as your field education coordinator, want to highlight two or three quick things in terms of success in your internship. I hope that you took in all that was said here, but show up and show up on time. That's one thing I just want to reiterate. Please, show up, let your light shine, but show up on time, please. And make sure you know who your field instructor is. I have had students who emailed me and said, I don't know how to get in touch with my field instructor. I don't know who that person is. Refer back to your interview tracking form. The name of the person and their contact information is on the interview tracking form. And so their email address and their phone number typically. Now, if you have tried those things and you show up, your field instructor is not there at the agency that day for some reason, like let us know, let me know, email me or email your faculty liaison. In that situation, you can email me directly. And I will maybe have to provide you another number, because some of our field instructors have cell phone numbers that they don't mind you having. They may just not have had an opportunity to share that with you. So sometimes that happens, but please, on your part, the least you can do is show up and show up on time. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to make sure I share with you all is communication, professional communication. We have had situations where students thought that they could, you know, communicate like they communicate to a girlfriend through email, and that's not appropriate. Or in the agency with a client who you're building professional rapport with, and you're talking to her as if she's a girlfriend, or he's a boyfriend, whatever. But it's not appropriate in the setting in the agency, okay? Make sure that you maintain professionalism in written and oral communication, okay? And if you don't know what that is for the agency, because it may differ, talk to your field instructor. That's what they're there for, okay? Lastly, always introduce yourself as a student and a learner to clients and to the colleagues that work in the agency. So everyone knows your position in the agency and your identity and how you will be presenting, right? You are a learner and in the process of becoming a professional social worker, okay? All right, that's all I have. Does anyone else have anything else to share or add a question? Okay, well, we'll be around. I think you guys are hungry and thirsty, and we have something right over here for you. So please mingle, mix and mingle with our field instructors.